بیننده سلام، امیدوارم که حالتون خوب باشه. در برنامه این هفته همگام با مدرسه دوست داریم در مورد اهمیت و چگونگی یادگیری زبان اول یا First Language Acquisition و نقش و چگونگی یادگیری زبان میراثی یا Heritage Language با شما صحبت کنیم. بسیاری از شما عزیزان که به کانادا اومدید، زبان انگلیسی زبان دوم شما هستش و زبان فارسی زبان اول، ولی فرزندان شما زبان انگلیسی رو به عنوان زبان اول خودشون در حقیقت یاد میگیرن و یادگیری رو ادامه میدن و زبان فارسی برای اونها به عنوان Heritage Language شناخته میشه. در این برنامه از آقای دکتر مایک تتنم دعوت کردم که به این برنامه بیان تا از اطلاعاتشون آگاه بشیم. آقای دکتر تتنم دارای بیش از 23 سال تجربه در آموزش زبان انگلیسی به عنوان زبان دوم به مهاجران بزرگسال در کانادا از جمله مهاجران ایرانی هستند. ایشون سالها کوردینیتور تسل سنیکا کالج بودند و در حال حاضر مدرس ESL در آموزش پرورش منطقه تورنتو هستند. ایشون ناشر چندین مقاله علمی در زمینه فراگیری زبان دوم در بزرگسالان هستند و همچنین ناشر کتاب برین ویبز یا امواج مغز هستند و دارای کتاب‌های متعدد تمرینات ESL که توسط دانشگاه آکسفورد منتشر شده. Hi Mike.
سلام، حال شما چطوره؟
حال شما چطوره؟
خوبم.
Thank you so much for coming back to the show. On last show, you discussed second language learning, and on this show, you're going to discuss a different but related topic, first language acquisition and heritage language learning. So if you agree to introduce the topic, let's watch a clip together and then we can talk about it.
Sounds good.
Okay, Omijan.
Where's Mama?
Mama.
Where's Mama?
Mama.
Mama? Where's the baby?
Puppy.
What's that?
Puppy. Cats are robots and drive and sell them in garage sales. Kind of like garage sale, but except they're selling robots. And no one's gonna buy our two and the shiny guy. The shiny guy always.
Mike, could you please comment on this video?
Well, I think the thing that really stands out to me is the speed at which those, I think there were three young children, learn the language. Mm-hmm. So you'd have the first child can only just utter a few individual sounds, and then the next child is able to actually utter a few words here and there, and then the last child is able to use some actually fairly complex sentences. So why is it that this is possible? So the only way that we can actually explain this is that young children have the innate ability to learn language. Unfortunately, this innate ability to learn the language tends to become a fair bit weaker as they get older. So usually by the time you're about 7 or so, you no longer have the capability of learning a language like a native speaker. And in fact, adults, unfortunately, in almost all cases, don't have the same capability of learning a language like children do.
عزیزان در حقیقت آقای مایک یک ریویوی روی برنامه‌های قبلی ما داشتن. ما یادتون باشه صحبت کردیم در مورد یادگیری زبان توسط بچه‌ها و گفتیم که اگر تا سن 7 سال اینجا باشن به خوبی میتونن زبان انگلیسی رو صحبت کنن، ولی هر چقدر که سن بالاتر میره یادگیری زبان انگلیسی به عنوان زبان اول کار سختی هستش. What factors are important to first language learning?
Well, first of all young children have the innate ability to learn a language. However, this isn't enough. Okay, so they need input. They need people to talk to them, okay? And they are going to need interaction. So they're going to need patient caregivers talk to them in a way that they can understand. And they can't just talk about anything naturally, because children have a limited cognitive capability compared to adults. So they're going to need people to talk to them about things which are fairly concrete in the here and now, things which are in the immediate environment, like this pen here, this desk, things which are interesting to them. In addition to that, they have to modify their pronunciation, or at least this is very helpful. So they need to have exaggerated intonation. So they would say, "Oh, isn't that a cute doggy?" rather than "Isn't that a cute dog?" So this helps them to understand the language much better.
ایشون میگن که بچه‌ها خیلی براشون مهم هستش که برای ما مهم هستش که برای بچه‌ها وقتی می‌خوایم که باشون صحبت بکنیم نیاز به اینپوت زیاد دارن. یعنی اینکه وقتی میگیم که این سگ با مزه هستش، این اینتونیشن بسیار مهم هستش، ولی کلا بچه‌ها اون استعداد ذاتی رو در خودشون دارن که بتونن زبان‌های مختلف رو یاد بگیرن و اینتراکشن، تعامل با کودک بسیار مهم هستش. هر چقدر که شما تعامل و اینتراکشنتون با بچه بیشتر باشه، بچه راحت‌تر و بهتر اون زبان رو یاد میگیره. Do children learn faster if you correct their grammar?
Well, it depends how old they are. Okay, for children who are, let's say, below the age of puberty, absolutely not. Okay, people that are children who are very young, they don't have the capability of actually reflecting on how they're talking. What they do is they think about meaning. So what they need is they need meaningful interaction with, let's say, their parents and with teachers, etc. However, as they grow older, let's say if they're teenagers, some kind of explicit feedback correcting their language. Let's say if they're studying a foreign language, if they're teenagers, then they will have the capability of actually thinking about how they're saying it grammatically to see if it's correct or not. But for younger children, they don't have that ability, so it wouldn't help them.
برای بچه‌های کوچکتر من سوالم از ایشون این بودش که اگر ما دستور زبان بچه‌ها رو صحیح بکنیم موقعی که دارن استفاده میکنن، آیا بهشون کمک میکنه در یادگیری زبان؟ ایشون میگن که نه، برای بچه‌ها، چون در حقیقت اون متالینگویستیک اورننس بهش میگن، یعنی اون آگاهی به دستور زبان رو ندارن، برای همین براشون فرقی نمیکنه که ما اونها رو سریع تصحیح بکنیم. ولی هر چقدر بچه‌ها بزرگتر میشن و به سن تینیجری میرسن، چون آگاهیشون به دستور زبان بیشتر شده، اگر اونها رو تصحیح بکنیم راحت‌تر و بهتر اون رو یاد میگیرن. Do you stop learning your first language once you're an adult?
Well before you're an adult, you'll have learned pretty well all of the grammatical patterns which are possible in your first language. You'll definitely have learned all of the pronunciation. However, vocabulary is something that you never stop developing. So particularly I would say in adolescence or in some cases young adulthood, you will still continue learning, let's say, more words, particularly more formal academic words. And even into adulthood, you will be, in many cases, be capable of actually changing your style to suit the audience. So you may continue to become a more effective communicator by altering your style, and you will slowly learn new words. As society changes, new words develop in the language as well.
من از ایشون پرسیدم که یادگیری زبان اولتون رو متوقف میکنید موقعی که به سن بزرگسالی میرسید و ایشون گفتن که در حقیقت وقتی به سن بزرگسالی میرسید شما قطعاً روی دستور زبان و تلفظ کلاً مستر هستید و اونها رو کامل بلد هستید، ولی وکابلری و لغت همچنان ادامه داره و شما روی اونها باید کار بکنید و یواش یواش در حقیقت یادگیری وکابلری زمان میبره برای اینکه به اون حد کامل بخواید وکابلری رو یاد بگیرید. ما در مهد کودک میگیم که بچه‌ها بعد از مهد کودک 1000 لغت یاد میگیرن و فکر کنید که بچه‌ای که مهد کودک رو نرفته و هر سال دیرتر میاد چقدر لغت ها رو در حقیقت میس میکنه. I was sharing with the audience that in kindergarten kids learn 1000 words per year. So I'm just telling them, you know, if a kid miss a kindergarten or, you know, a grade 1 or grade 2, just imagine how many words they're going to miss and they need to learn. What are the differences between first language acquisition and second language acquisition, adult second language acquisition?
Well, the biggest difference is that anybody who starts learning first language and doesn't stop, okay, they're going to become, let's say, perfect in their native language. However, as we know, okay, from our experience, it would be extremely unusual and you may argue possibly impossible for any adult to learn the language they're learning perfectly like a young child eventually learns their first language. So that's really the biggest difference. There are other differences as well. The main difference is how they learn, okay? So a young child will tend to learn most things without conscious awareness. So they're not actually going to be aware, okay, of what that they're actually learning. However, adults will actually be consciously aware of what it is that they're trying to learn. Reading and writing, I guess, are similar, okay, because for both children in elementary school, etc., they will need some actual explicit teaching, okay, and that's the same too for second language adults as well. And then with adults, you have a lot of variation in terms of how good they become. With children, you don't really get that same variation. Of course, there is a notion like verbal intelligence. Some people are better with language than others, but there isn't, you know, like this big difference where like some kids learn the language and other kids don't, because basically all kids learn their language. Whereas with second language adult learners, some of them, they learn it, they're almost as good as native speakers, but then you get a lot of variation.
من ازشون پرسیدم که چه تفاوتی بین اکتساب زبان اول و اکتساب زبان دوم در بزرگسالان هستش. ایشون گفتن که در حقیقت بچه‌ها به خاطر اون استعداد ذاتی که درشون هستش زبان رو یاد میگیرن و خیلی اونطوری آگاه نیستن به یادگیری، خود به خود انجام میشه، ولی در بزرگسالان به این ترتیب نیستش. ریدینگ و رایتینگ رو همه یاد میگیرن، ولی در حقیقت تلفظ هستش که خب بچه‌ها خیلی سریعتر و بهتر تلفظ رو یاد میگیرن نسبت به بزرگسالان. Is English a hard language for Farsi speakers to learn?
Well, it really, I guess the best way to do it is like to say it in relative terms. Relative to who? Okay. So
to German people.
Relative
France.
to German
French
people, German speakers on the whole will find English easier to learn than Farsi speakers. So people may wonder, well, why? Okay. Well, that is all essentially based on the history of the two languages. Okay. So German and English have the same history in the sense that 1,500 years ago, some people from what is now Germany invaded England and settled the country. So there's this historical connection, so a lot of the words are the same, a lot of the grammatical patterns are the same, but actually Farsi and English are historically related too. So
that's good.
They are, yeah. So it's called an Indo-European language. Okay. So there are a lot of grammatical structures and some words which are somewhat similar. So compared to, for example, let's say people from Vietnam, Japan, China, Farsi speakers will probably find it easier to learn. Yeah.
من ازشون پرسیدم که برای یک نفری که فارسی صحبت میکنه چقدر یادگیری زبان انگلیسی مشکل هستش. ایشون گفتن که بستگی داره با کی مقایسه بکنیم. اگر با کسایی مثلا کسایی که در آلمان زندگی میکنن، آلمانی های و یا مثلا فرانسوی زبان ها، با اونها مقایسه بکنیم، آره برای فارسی زبان ها سخت‌تر هستش به خاطر اون تشبیه زبانی که با هم داره انگلیسی و جرمن لنگویج یا فرنچ در حقیقت، ولی در مقایسه با Korean language, Vietnamese language, Chinese language، زبان‌های چینی برای فارسی زبان‌ها باز راحت‌تر هستش به خاطر اون شباهت‌هایی که در ساختار زبان فارسی و انگلیسی وجود داره. Okay. What about young Farsi-speaking learners of English? Is English easy for them to learn?
If they're very young, then they have the advantage of still having the innate ability to learn a language intact. So if you compare them to, like, let's say, older English learners who come from Iran, the younger learners definitely have an advantage. So if you compare anybody who immigrated to Canada or the United States from Iran, let's say at age 5, 3, 7, etc., they would be pretty much the same as anybody born in Canada or the United States. So they have an advantage over younger learners for sure. Yeah.
من ازشون پرسیدم که این در حقیقت یادگیری زبان انگلیسی برای کسایی که بچه‌هایی که فارسی فارسی صحبت میکنن ولی از بچگی میان اینجا چطور هستش. گفتن ایشون فرمودن که اگر بچه‌ها در سن 3 سالگی، 5 سالگی و 7 سالگی بیان اینجا راحت‌تر صحبت میکنن و در حقیقت در آخر عین نیتیو انگلیش اسپیکر صحبت میکنن تا اینکه در مدت تینیجری بیان یا در زمان دبیرستان بیان و همینطوری بزرگسالی که سخت‌تر و سخت‌تر میشه. My next question is, can young Farsi-speaking learners of Farsi become perfect in Farsi?
In Farsi, well, it depends how old they are. Okay, so if they were, let's say, 7, 6, 5, etc., then no, I'd say probably not. Okay, there will be, because what will happen to them is English will become their dominant language. Okay, so they can become very good in Farsi, but they will always be missing something in Farsi with, like, let's say, they won't have the ability to say things, let's say, formally. They won't have, like, a very good vocabulary. And I think that the biggest problem for them is that they simply will not be very good in reading and writing. In many cases, many Farsi speaking children will just never learn how to read and write Farsi.
من ازشون پرسیدم که بچه‌های فارسی زبان ما که از بچگی اینجا هستن زبان فارسیشون چی میشه؟ آیا اونها زبان فارسیشون به خوبی زبان انگلیسی میشه که یاد بگیرن؟ و ایشون میگن که اگر خیلی بچه باشن همون سن 3 سال، 5 سال و 7 سال زبان انگلیسی زبان دامینیتشون میشه و در حقیقت یک سری کلماتی هستش که در زبان فارسی اونها رو میس میکنن و خیلی مشکل هستش که بخوان اونها رو یاد بگیرن و پوینت این هستش که زبان انگلیسی زبان اولشون میشه و یه سری وکابلری ها هستش که باید یاد بگیرن و کار سختی هستش. میدونم که بعضی از خانواده ها بچه ها رو از بچگی زبان فارسی میذارن، کلاس های فارسی میرن و میدونن که بسیار مشکل هستش برای بچه ها ولی بسیار کار خوبی هستش. Let's move on to heritage language. What is heritage language learner?
Okay, well, a heritage language learner is like the person that we just described in the previous question. So we talked about, let's say, young Farsi-speaking children that come to Canada or the United States. Let's say at age 3, 5, 7, etc. That's a heritage language learner. So they will have come to a country where, let's say, English is spoken, okay? And what will happen eventually is that maybe their parents will talk to them in Farsi. Okay, but when they go to school, they're not going to hear any Farsi, okay, or very little, okay, and eventually English will become their dominant language. So they're not going to get enough practice opportunities to actually, like, reach the level of Farsi that every adult who's, like, grown up speaking Farsi has. So they'll be, in a way, they'll be kind of like, incomplete language learners, and they'll be incomplete with respect to not having a big vocabulary. Their grammar may be incomplete, they may have some pronunciation problems, but probably the biggest difference is just simply that they won't be able to read and write very well.
من ازشون پرسیدم که هریتیج لنگویج چی هستش. در حقیقت میگیم که هریتیج لنگویج لرنر کیا هستن و ایشون گفتن که طبق سوال قبلی که من ازشون کردم بچهای فارسی زبانی که از بچگی اینجا هستن، یعنی 3 ساله 5 ساله و 7 ساله رو در نظر بگیرید که زبان انگلیسی زبان اصلی اونها میشه، زبان اولشون میشه، ولی زبان فارسی چون توی خونه فارسی صحبت میشه اون در حقیقت میشه هریتیج لنگویجشون. و این هستش که همونطوری که توی سال قبلی گفتم توی ریدینگ و رایتینگ یک مقدار خیلی کامل مثل بزرگسالایی که فارسی زبان هستن شاید نتونن واقعا اون رو یاد بگیرن، زبان هریتیج لنگویجشون رو.
اسم من یولیا.
من کره‌ای هستم.
من مهندس هستم.
من 1 ماه پیش به ایران آمدم.
فارسی زبان جالب است.
یک کم فارسی بلدم. شوهر من ایرانی هست.
من در ایران کار میکنم.
من ایران دوست دارم.
Trying to make sense of an alphabet completely different from yours, or keeping track of the number of dots, for example, on top or under the letters that seem so much alike while you're writing, knowing that it could make a huge difference. The challenge of pronouncing totally unfamiliar sounds, twisting your tongue to say the words correctly, and at the same time trying to remember the next word you want to use in your sentence while keeping in mind all the grammar rules.
مثل مثل
Iran. Sometimes learning a new language can be very exciting, especially if it's an exotic one.
So, Afruz, what did you think about these adult second language learners of Farsi? How good was their Farsi?
They have some mistakes in their pronunciation, and I've noticed some limited grammar and limited vocabulary. Well, it was cute. What would heritage language learner of Farsi compared to this?
Oh, well, I don't speak Farsi, but I would guess that these are relatively beginners. But a heritage language learner, there's a great range, okay? But in most cases, somebody who has, let's say, have more exposure to Farsi would be a lot better in their pronunciation. So you could probably hear like a strong foreign accent, right?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, absolutely.
Okay. So if it was a heritage language learner of Farsi, you'd hear a little bit of an accent, but not that much, okay? And they were talking kind of slowly, right? Okay. So in most cases, a heritage language learner wouldn't talk that slowly. They'd be a lot more fluent. And their grammar was kind of limited. They just spoke in short sentences, right?
That's true.
If you were a heritage language learner, you would, in many cases, you'd just be able to talk fairly naturally with longer sentences.
Longer sentences.
Yeah.
You can make it up.
That's right. Okay, be able to, many cases
Make it up.
depends, you'll be able to just have a natural conversation. Depends on your length of exposure, yeah. So you have an advantage.
That's true. من ازشون پرسیدم که توی یک کلیپ دیدین که یه سری خارجی ها بودن که فارسی داشتن صحبت میکردن. من گفتم که مقایسه کنن با بچهای فارسی زبانی که اینجا هستن و دارن زبان انگلیسی زبان اولشون هستش و ایشون گفتن که به احتمال 100% بچه‌هایی که فارسی زبان هستن ولی خب فارسی زبان اولشون نیست بهتر از آدمایی که توی کلیپ دیدید صحبت خواهند کرد. وقتی که مقایسه میکنیم کلماتی که به کار میبرن، تلفظشون و گرامری که استفاده میکنن و جملاتی رو که استفاده میکنن بلندتر هستش و میتونیم ما در حقیقت اونا رو بسازیم دیگه. بچه‌ها اونا رو بسازن به خاطر که اینا رو یاد گرفتن توی خونه از پدر مادرشون. In what ways are they more similar to first language learners than to adult second language learners?
Well, a heritage language learner really, by nature, is a first language learner who stopped learning their first language. So, in a way, they are first language learners themselves, except they just stopped. They're similar in the sense that they have received kind of naturalistic input at home or in their community. So they heard the real language that's spoken in the community and not just something which is in the classroom. And they find it easier to learn their heritage language in many cases than learning a foreign language, okay? So they have the advantage essentially of age. So a lot of vocabulary, at least receptively, they'll be able to understand. Their pronunciation tends to be fairly good. Their fluency tends to be fairly good. And they may, really depending on really just their input and their interaction, have a lot of grammatical structures as well. But they are similar to second language learners as well, in the sense that there's a lot of range. So some of them will be very good, okay? Some of them will be not very good, but they do have the advantage, the same advantages essentially that first language learners have.
You seem to know a lot about heritage language learning. Where did you learn all about this?
Okay, well, I learned about heritage language learning at school, okay, while I was studying in various programs in linguistics, and a lot of it really just sort of comes, I guess, from the fact that I'm a heritage language learner myself.
Okay.
Okay, so English is my dominant language. Okay, I'm definitely like strongest in English than any other language that I know. However, I do speak another language. I speak Finnish.
Okay.
So can I demonstrate a little bit here?
Absolutely.
Okay. No, voisin niinku näyttää teille, että mä osaan niinku puhua suomea. Suomi on erilainen kieli kuin englanti. Mä osaan puhua melko sujuvasti, mutta mun täytyy sanoa, että tietysti englanti on minun vahvin kieli ja mä osaan niinku oikeasti sanoa, mitä mä haluan sanoa ihan täysin suomeksi, niin kuin voin tehdä niin helposti englanniksi.
I totally واقعا فهمیدم. I totally understand. What did you say?
I would
Translate.
I forget what I said, but I was just saying that, you know, like English is my dominant language, but, you know, like I speak Finnish, but I have a lot of weaknesses in the sense that I can't fully express myself, you know, like to the same extent that I can in English. Yeah.
At what age did you learn Finnish?
Well, I was born in Finland, okay, and then my parents and I, we immigrated to Canada when I was 5.5. And then, of course, we still spoke Finnish at home, especially with my grandmother. And then, see, it's very important for the heritage language learner to practice.
That's true.
Because if I were to, when I've looked at videos of myself speaking Finnish, I was fairly fluent in that video clip. But there was an airport clip of myself speaking Finnish, and my mother goes, okay, say hello to your grandmother in Finnish. And I said, no, terve mummi, minä menen takaisin. Äiti, how do you say university in Finnish? Because like I was out of practice. But you can get it back, definitely, like if you start practicing again, yeah.
It's very interesting. What can heritage language learners do to improve their heritage language? For example, Farsi.
Okay, well, for example, for any heritage language learner, including a Farsi heritage language learner, what they need to do is they need to learn reading and writing, okay? Because they've learned the basics of the spoken language, usually in the home environment, okay? But in the home environment, well, naturally, you don't have the written language. So what they should do is they should take some classes, okay? They have heritage language classes available, I think, in many cities that will allow them to learn the basics of reading and writing. So that's what I did. So I when I moved